Another little step in the saga. These are some DeVolk headers. I got these off of eBay from a guy that didn't need them. I got a pretty good deal on them. I paid more for shipping than I did for the pipes. But anyway, these things are not long enough. I made some adapters here on the lathe. This one here is a little too small and too long, but you can see it goes up in that muffler there, and this is quite a bit too small. These are the right size. See, these are just, I don't know if that camera's working there, but these will go on here really tight. I can mount them on and maybe use some sealant. I probably don't even need sealant, but that's going to extend it about 3/4 of an inch, and that's about how much I needed to go into there. So I made one of these for each pipe. The ends are good. See, they'll fit into the clamp. I was thinking about splitting this end right here and figuring out some way to clamp it, but I think I've got them tight enough. They're going to have to pound them on. Wish I had a little muffler cement. I'd put that on there. Anyway, let's see if I can get this other one out. It's already out. There we go. So yeah, that one there is just a little bit too big. So a little muffler cement on that will work, and I'll try to assemble these things here, and then I'll show you how I can put them up in here. I went to the store and I got some this exhaust sealer. It works good. There's steel epoxies, but you can't get them apart. This stuff at least will break. And I got some paint here. I pulled the manifold off of here, and I think I'll just clean this all real good. Even this part here, the paint's kind of coming loose on it. I'm going to clean that up all real good before I put my muffler on. In the meantime, I'll just use some of this muffler cement, pound these two on and let them dry. That should seal them pretty good. I have to clean the headers from the grease, and while they're drying I just figured I'd clean up this motor, see what's happening. What I'm going to try to do is paint this a flat black, the covers and stuff a glossy black. This paint I put on here wasn't any good. You can see it just comes off with a fingernail. But anyway, I got it kind of cleaned up, and I'm going to shoot some paint in it and see what it looks like. Here's a motor with a couple coats of that semi-gloss black on it. Use a little thinner and wipe the fins so they're not so hard to clear up. It looks pretty good. There's some places where there was dirt in it, and I think I can probably just reach in there and sand that out a little bit, put another coat on it, and it'll be just fine. And then I have to go over here to this other side. Yeah, you can still see a lot of dirt and stuff down on it. Take off those exhaust manifolds so I can get in there and clean it. Clean everything up and paint this side. By then, hopefully the exhaust will be good and dry, and I can stick them in. I don't want to put them in and be painting around them, so I'm going to try to get all my paint done before I put those things on. Here's a motor with a couple coats of that semi-gloss black on it. Use a little thinner and wipe the fins so they're not so hard to clear up. It looks pretty good. There's some places where there was dirt in it, and I think I can probably just reach in there and sand that out a little bit, put another coat on it, and it'll be just fine. Then I have to go over here to this other side. Yeah, you can still see a lot of dirt and stuff down on it. Take off those exhaust manifolds so I can get in there and clean it. Clean everything up and paint this side. By then, hopefully the exhaust will be good and dry, and I can stick them in. I don't want to put them in and be painting around them, so I'm going to try to get all my paint done before I put those things on. Well, I got the mufflers back on it. Looks like this one's seated real good. It's all the way into the clamp there, and I don't remember how long this piece was here, but I think it's seated up in there pretty good. Everything's all tight. I lost a couple nuts here off of this, so I got one on each one, but it's got plenty of pressure and everything on it. I don't think it'll leak. If it does, it won't leak very bad. And the motor actually turned out looked pretty decent. That kind of semi-flat paint. I'll clean up the rest of this and use gloss paint on it, and that should make a little difference. Anyway, that's what we got on a Sunday. Made some adapters and wasted a piece of aluminum there. Anyway, everything's back on. All we need is manifold boots and put the carburetors on it, and we should be able to run. Another little step in the saw guy. Started inspecting some stuff here. This is my master cylinder. There was some silicone in it. Looks like there's a hole there in the thing. Rather than try to buy a new master cylinder, which I could, I'm just gonna turn me a piece on a lathe and just plug that. It's probably not the best idea, but they get old and messed up anyway. You can't even really see in this one. You can buy them for a magnet. They're only $1 or so, but they want like $15–20 for just this little piece used, and I really don't care. I'm just going to take it off and clean it up, make sure the master cylinder works, and then machine a little plug for it and be finished with it. Yeah, I got the bolt out. You know what's in it? It's not brake fluid, that's water. So there's a little brake fluid in it, but mostly it's water. I can't believe. Who knows, probably this was cracked and set out in the rain and filled up with water. Anyway, means I got quite a bit of work to do here, and not just cleaning up a master cylinder. Press on. I dug the sight glass out. Don't look too bad there, and there's a little O-ring in it that apparently is supposed to seal it. So shouldn't be too much trouble to machine something that'll fit in there. And it is full of rust. Sure enough, it had water in it. I don't know where rust come from, of course, because that's aluminum. But anyway, it looks like it's pumping, so not a hell of a lot I can do there. I'm just gonna clean it up good, make me a plug, and paint it, and put it back on. And I got it all cleaned up. There's a little goop in it still, but it's a water-based aluminum oxide. I could try to clean it up a little bit more. But anyway, the point is I got this hole cleaned out. And I got a piece of dill run here, which is a real hard plastic. I don't know if brake fluid will touch it or not. Looks like I got a lot of... Anyway, I'm going to turn that down to the right size so it'll fit this hole here. And I won't have a sight glass, but I will have a good plug. Yeah, this thing not focusing for some reason. Anyway, I cut the yeah, can't really tell, but I cut the O-ring groove in it first because the other one turned out crooked. So I'm just going to turn it down to the correct size now and cut everything off. But it seemed like it was a better deal to put the groove in it first where I had good material. If this was aluminum or steel, it wouldn't be any difference, but this Delron plastic is not all that tough. Now here's the final repair. No sight glass. I cleaned it up good and sprayed it with this ceramic engine enamel. That's what I painted the motor with, and so it ought to look pretty good. It's high gloss. Now there's the boots on. First thing I did, I just took a little general purpose grease and put on the manifold here, so that would go in. And now I just put a little on my finger again. I'm doing the same thing to the top of the boot where the carburetor goes in. This accomplishes two things. One thing, it makes it go together easier, and the other thing is it actually acts as a little bit of a sealant on the carburetors. So it didn't have to be very much, just a light coat, and make sure all your manifolds will turn good and they're seated properly on the make sure the rubber boot's seated good on the intake manifold. Next thing, I just have to remember how to do my my carburetor cables, and then I can shove the carburetors in there and pound them down, and I should be able to just tighten it all up. Another little step in the saga. My old boots were all cracked up. The intake manifold boots, and I got a new set here. Well, they're not new. They're used, but they're in really good shape. They're not cracked or anything. They're still good and soft, and I'll just put these all on, and then I can put the carburetors in, and I just could actually probably start it at that point, but I don't know if I want to do that or not, but at least I know I got to put the carburetors on. So I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit more. Looks like I got a little dirt in there. Just wire brush it and blow it all off. The motor paint turned out good, so that's all fine. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do, is go ahead and put these boots on. There they are in. It's pretty straightforward. There was nothing hard about it. These are good manifolds. I want to check a couple things here. You want to look right here on top of the manifold, make sure they're seated good all the way around. You look at this other side. Well, that one's got a bit of a crack there. So anyway, you just, if you got them not quite seated, get yourself a rubber hammer or something. Yeah. See, I saw it move. It went down, and just whack them on top. Looks like it's rocking a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'll tighten this side good, and then I'll go over the other side, knock it down, and tighten it. Okay, I got these tightened. Not very good light, but they're perfect. They're right at the top of the groove. And we'll go over here to this other side. Yeah, that's pretty much right at the top of the groove. Now I just pound them down again, make sure that it's down, and then I just have to tighten these up. I've tightened up the motor one first, no particular reason, and then I tighten the top one for the carburetor. You don't have to go crazy on these. You can only tighten them so tight they have a stop on them. If you gotta over tighten them, then you might as well replace the manifold. Just a good tight fit there. Good rubber manifold won't leak at all. And that looks like it. I tested the throttle, and it's open and closing and everything good. See, it's all moving there. I lubricated the servo down in there. The boost controller, it's all working. Carburetors are all on, they're clean. And basically, I painted my spark plugs here a little bit when I was painting the motor, but I could probably pour some gas in it and start it up. Maybe I'll do that. I'll just put a little bit of gas in that tank and stick the fuel line on and see if it'll run. Now, I decided against starting it right now. Maybe I'll just pour a little gas in it and just see if it'll fire, because I don't have any oil in it, or I do. It's probably a little low. I got enough oil in it to start it. Let me just pour a little gas in it and see if it'll fire. Well, I kind of got somewhat of a disaster here. This is big chunks of aluminum and stuff come out of the oil filter. I did fire it up real quickly, and it's still got a rattle in it. But I got quite a bit of metal in here, and there's some metal in the oil, which, you know, this is new oil. I just dumped this in here. But anyway, I have a feeling that this front cylinder here, it sounds like there's some rattling. I think it's a timing chain adjuster. But I'm going to go ahead and finish changing the oil, and I'll start it again one more time. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to. I don't think oil's going to help it. Anyway, I'll put some oil in it and we'll start it and see what it sounds like. Well, I changed the oil and filter. The oil looked pretty bad, especially the filter. It's raining out here, so I'm not too enthused about doing this. But I wanted to at least try to fire it up. Exhaust leaks. I only got one bolt on them. This choke keeps wanting to come off. I don't hear any real bad motor noise. But at first I thought I did, but I am hearing some clunking out of the motor. It don't help to leave your chest there under a muffler. Well, it's running and idling. The exhaust seem about the same. So I don't know, maybe that's just exhaust noise and I don't have a bad part. I'll go buy a couple more bolts and try to fix it. Clamp it up and try it again. Alright, I got a couple nuts and put them on the exhaust. still leaking there. But I'm more worried about the motor knock. I can hear a little knocking in it, I'm not sure what. I don't know, I don't hear any bad clunking or anything. Still got an exhaust leak. I probably should put some gaskets in it. Might not have had any in it. But I don't hear any bad motor knock. Check something else here real quick on this charging system, see if the stator's any good. Yeah, so stator's reading 20 volts at idle at about 80 when it's wound up. And the other leg is running 20. And ours is one-handed. So I got 20 there. I think part of this is my wires. 20. Really a bad connection here. Try that again. The other leg, 20 and 70, so it's probably charging. Warmed up pretty good now. I really don't hear any bad motor knocks. Got some kind of a tinny rattle, but I'm pretty sure that's exhaust. Yeah, the motor's hot to the touch. Sounds pretty good, especially considering that the gearbox is just sitting on there, no filter or anything. I think I still just got an exhaust leak. I'm not really missing or anything. So anyway, guess I cross my fingers on that. Yeah, it's wrapping up pretty good. Idling good without a choke. I haven't even bothered to try to adjust these air screws or anything. I can do that and see if I can improve that. Well, I got plugged the alternator back in. I got 13.5 or so. See if I can get a little better ground. All one-handed. 8.5. Yeah, it went up a little. I got some clattering still, but I think that's mostly exhaust. I don't know. Anyway, starts and runs. Let's see if it starts. I did a good job on those carburetors, so it shouldn't be tough. No problem. Good enough. I don't hear any heavy knocking, so I think the motor's probably alright. Which is good. I'm still going to pull those valve covers and look around in there. I think the first thing I'll do though is put the gaskets in the exhaust pipes. I thought it had some in there and they were just crushed, but it probably didn't have any at all. Here's the other side. Maybe not quite as successful, but looks like I drilled a little bit of the nut, but it's in there and it's good and tight, and I can still get a little piece of a nut on that one. I just basically got it the right size so it's sort of self-threaded when I put it together. Anyway, that should make a little difference right away. Yeah, it's quieter. I still don't have anything underneath hooked up yet. So that's what I'll do. I'll just oh yeah, that one there looks like it fell out completely. So I'll just put these back in and tighten them up and go from there. Well, I fooled around with it. I got some most of the exhaust leaks stopped. I can't hear any, rod knocking type rattling, but I'm getting a lot of noise out of the top, and I use this little stethoscope thing to kind of pinpoint noise. If you don't have one of these, man, they really work good. You can just use a piece of metal or a stick or something and put it against your ear, but you can really pinpoint what's happening. And I'm hearing a lot of clatter out of this top valve cover here. So anyway, I'm gonna take it apart and see what I can see inside here. Maybe cam chain or something's bad, I don't know. Well, I got this valve cover loose here. I think I can get it out around that hose from the other side. Anyway, I'll try to pull it out and maybe we can see what's happening. I didn't get too far before I contacted the radiator, and so I loosened up just one side and propped it away from the motorcycle. I'll see if it come out now. I got it up quite a ways, but it looks like it's interfering with the carburetors. I probably don't have to take them all off, but I need to pop them out of those boots and at least move them back. Well, I've almost got it off. I'm still hitting the cam chain in there, and looks like what's happening, it's hitting this V-boost servo motor, keeping it from coming out. I don't know how it's supposed to come out. I've got a book, I guess I ought to go read it. I did once briefly. It said something about draining the radiator, and I didn't want to do that. But looks like some of that assembly has got to at least come loose. Just keep on taking it apart. Well, I got plugged the alternator back in. I got 13.5 or so. See if I can get a little better ground. All one-handed. Alright, 13.5. Yeah, it went up a little. I got some clattering still, but I think that's mostly exhaust. I don't know. Anyway, starts and runs. Let's see if it starts. I did a good job on those carburetors, so it shouldn't be tough. No problem. Good enough. I don't hear any heavy knocking, so I think the motor's probably alright. Which is good. I'm still going to pull those valve covers and look around in there. I think the first thing I'll do though is put the gaskets in the exhaust pipes. I thought it had some in there and they were just crushed, but it probably didn't have any at all. Alright, I got these exhaust manifolds off of here. I don't know how this zoom is working. This is not the best camera in the world, but what's happening is I didn't have an exhaust O-ring in there, so I just took these loose and I'm just gonna try to put that little brass O-ring up in there. Yeah, it looks like it fell out the bottom here, so I probably need to coat it with some grease and stick it in there so it'll hold. Then I can put it back together and that should cure my exhaust leak. Well, I don't know if you can see there, but I've got a exhaust O-ring on there, and now I'm going to try to put this on. It's not that easy to actually get these bolts on this side. They've still got quite a bit of pressure here in the exhaust, but I know I can get it on, so we'll do that and see if I can bolt this one up. Turned out that I already did have one in it. I took one out of the other side. You can see the comparison there. The one I put in it's very thin. The other one's pretty good size. So I left this one in. Got it all good and tight. The other one's good and tight. We shouldn't have any exhaust leaks. About the only way to find out is start it. I think I need to tighten that choke holder screw up a little bit. Well, I don't know where I can set this camera. Well, we'll see. Fired right up. Sounds like I might have a little exhaust leak in it. I'll just get these quick snug. I think it's going to be alright. Oh yeah, this one's still loose. Yeah, that tightened it up. Yeah, that's fine. I don't hear anything, any bad noises at all in the motor. So that was probably the exhaust leak the whole time. Still have a little leaks here. But once I put everything together, bolt it all back together. Now I gotta run me down a little screwdriver so I can adjust those air screws. Alright. I'll start with this one. Turn in, half turn. Out half a turn. Nothing. This one. In half a turn. Full turn slows it down. There's a full turn. Another half. It should be 3.5. Just make this one the same. I'm going to get it started. We'll get to this other side, do the same thing. I'll just open them up one full turn. The screwdriver started is the hard part. There. And the last one, get it in there. Hard to get the screwdriver in the jet. I think that's got it a turn. Sounds a little better. No bad noises in the motor. sound like I got some kind of a little bit of an exhaust leak. Definitely have one back here. But the motor itself sounds good. But it sounds more like a piece of thin metal than it does anything else. Yeah. Like exhaust is burning in. Yeah. Joe killed it. Should start right up. Yeah, it's still got some kind of a little rattle, but I think the motor's good. Some of this grease and paint and stuff is burning off. I think that's good enough for right now. Oh, it seems to have warmed up nice. I don't hear any rattles. So we do have this bottom one. Nothing there tightened up, it's just sort of put in place while I was installing these other mufflers. Sounds like I got some kind of a miss in one cylinder. I think it's just exhaust leaks. Anyway, so I'll finish put this mount this exhaust on there good. Tighten up all my clamps down here on the bottom and see what happens. Fooling around with the pipes and stuff. Looks like these little adapters that I made right here are just a little too long, so I really can't get it together. I could force it, but I don't want to. So what I'm going to do, I've got it clamped in place, and I'm just going to drill me a hole here for another bolt, and it looks like it's going to miss that nut. It doesn't have to be that strong, because this bracket here is what's holding the foot peg. I can just get a bolt through there and bolt it down, and the other side is, well, not quite as bad, but anyway, that's what I got to do, is drill myself another hole so I can bolt this muffler down good. Then I can finish tightening up that bottom stuff. Here's a little trick for you. These are a set of transfer punches. All I'm doing is trying to find one that's approximately the same size as that hole. Pretty close. Good enough. Yeah, I'll go one smaller, because I want to drill that hole right where it's at, and the drill will walk around. So what I'm going to do is just put this transfer punch in it. Give it a good whack. Of course I knocked all my shit off, but that should have marked the thing where I want the center. Well, that's it. You can see down in there, but I was able to get the original bolt in, and it's a very tight fit. I don't know. Tighten it up, and it's actually threading the bracket a little. Yeah, there we go. That's plenty tight. Looks like I still have to fool around with my lower stuff, but that moved it back about a little less than half an inch, 3/8 or so. It looks like it's about the same on this side. So I'll drill this side, and hopefully I can do the same thing. Alright, I got these exhaust manifolds off of here. I don't know how this zoom is working. This is not the best camera in the world, but what's happening is I didn't have an exhaust O-ring in there, so I just took these loose, and I'm just gonna try to put that little brass O-ring up in there. Yeah, it looks like it fell out the bottom here, so I probably need to coat it with some grease and stick it in there so it'll hold. Then I can put it back together, and that should cure my exhaust leak. Well, I don't know if you can see there, but I've got a exhaust O-ring on there, and now I'm going to try to put this on. It's not that easy to actually get these bolts on this side. They've still got quite a bit of pressure here in the exhaust, but I know I can get it on, so we'll do that and see if I can bolt this one up. Turned out that I already did have one in it. I took one out of the other side. You can see the comparison there. The one I put in it's very thin. The other one's pretty good size. So I left this one in. Got it all good and tight. The other one's good and tight. We shouldn't have any exhaust leaks. About the only way to find out is start it. I think I need to tighten that choke holder screw up a little bit. Well, I don't know where I can set this camera. Well, we'll see. Fired right up. Like I might have a little exhaust leak in it. I'll just give these quick snug. I think it's going to be alright. Oh yeah, this one's still loose. Yeah, that tightened it up. Yeah, that's fine. I don't hear anything, any bad noises at all in the motor. So that was probably the exhaust leak the whole time. Still have a little leaks here. But once I put everything together, bolt it all back together, now I gotta run me down a little screwdriver so I can adjust those air screws. Alright, I'll start with this one. Turn in, half turn, out half a turn, nothing. This one, in half a turn, full turn slows it down. There's a full turn, another half. It should be 3.5. I'll just make this one the same. I can never get it started. And we'll get to this other side, do the same thing. I'll just open them up one full turn. The screwdriver started is the hard part. There. And the last one. Get it in there. Hard to get the screwdriver in the jet. I think that's got it a turn. Sounds a little better. No bad noises in the motor. Still sound like I got some kind of a little bit of an exhaust leak. Definitely have one back here. Motor itself sounds good. I hear a rattle, but it sounds more like piece of thin metal than it does anything else. exhaust is burning in. Yeah. Joe killed it. Should start right up. Yeah, still got some kind of a little rattle, but I think the motor's good. Some of this grease and paint and stuff is burning off. I think that's good enough for right now. Oh, it seems to have warmed up nice. I don't hear any rattles. So we do have this bottom of it. Nothing there tightened up, it's just sort of put in place while I was installing these other mufflers. Sounds like I got some kind of a miss in one cylinder. I think it's just exhaust leaks. Anyway, so I'll finish put this mount this exhaust on there good. Tighten up all my clamps down here on the bottom and see what happens.